In this video, we're going to be talking about sobriety and spirituality. Stay tuned. Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode here at Sobriety University. On this channel, we talk about addiction and recovery related topics. My name is Joel, and in this video, we're going to be talking about spirituality and sobriety. So this video comes from 33 Degrees. He suggested, or she suggested the topic, so big shout out to them. And this is a very important topic, and I'm happy this person brought it up because it is not something I've talked about too much on this channel. Possibly because it's more exciting to talk about, getting clean and stuff. However, I guess part of it is spirituality. And the first question is going to be, what is spirituality? So that's a great question. And before we talk about that, when I was younger, I grew up Catholic, so type religious in a sense. Now, I never really felt religious. It was always something I had to do because my parents wanted me to. Well, they made me, and it sucked. I hated going to church. I just would tune out the whole time, go into fantasy, and all I wanted to do was get out of there. And so when I finally left home and got into my adult years, all I knew was church. That was all I knew. And so there wasn't a very strong pull towards anything spiritual, towards anything religious. I was kind of sick of it. And I think that is kind of what led me down that path, is I didn't have anything to believe in. And so what did I start to believe in? Was weed, alcohol, drugs, you name it, other people. It was just, it got really messy. And it was because I didn't have a strong center, a strong foundation. And so what is spirituality? That is a great question. What's magical about this question is that it's going to be different for every single person. There's not one answer. Some people say it's religion, it's believing in a God, a deity, an entity. Other people see it as just kind of living a wholesome, healthy life. That's kind of what I see spirituality is. Not fucking with people, doing kind of wrong things in a sense. Although right and wrong, that's a whole new debate. We'll talk about that another day. And so when I think of spirituality, I think of believing that there is some force out there that is influencing my life, helping me, so it definitely doesn't want the worst for me, teaching me lessons, which sometimes hurt, I'll be honest, but they're lessons I need to learn. And that force is very real. I first started to believe in spirituality, that there was some force out there, and it wasn't me, when I was, the last night I smoked weed. And it was because I had all these instances of getting in trouble, and I almost got out of this situation. I was smoking weed at like an arboretum, like a public park kind of thing. And I was lighting up, a cop came, I sprayed some like ozone spray, which covers up the smell, and he comes and he's like, hey man, you can't be here, you're not doing drugs or anything, are you? And I'm like, no officer, of course not. And it was funny because I had a bottle of Source Perrier, which is the sparkling water, and he actually was like, are you drinking? He thought that was like a booze bottle. And it was funny, I was like, okay, hey, watch me here, just kind of get out of this one. And so I handed it to him, he smelled, and he's like, okay, it's water. And he's like, all right, I gotta write you a warning, I'll be right back. So he comes back after like 10, 12 minutes because cops take forever to write tickets. So he comes back, he hands me the ticket, and he's like, all right man, just don't come back here. It was like a citation or whatever. He turns to walk away, and he goes, is that weed? And I'm like, oh, you're fucking kidding me. Like, I almost got out of this one. And here I was, caught red-handed. Finally, I kind of deserved it, to be honest. And I was freaking out the whole time he was writing the ticket because I was dealing at the time, so I was like texting my dealer, or I wasn't texting my dealer, I was deleting his number, deleting anything that had to do with weed, and I thought I was gonna go to prison because I was in a paranoid fucking state. It makes no logical sense now. However, that's the state I was in at the moment. And so, in that moment, when he came back, just handed me the ticket, it was like $315 fine, and he's like, all right, don't come back here. And I drove off. I was like, holy shit. Like, I felt like a presence, whether it be life, the universe, reality, whatever, could have just been something in my head, say, dude, this is your last strike. I'm not covering for you anymore. You're not getting away with more shenanigans. Next time it's gonna be way more serious than just a ticket. And I listened, and that was the last night I smoked weed. And from ever since, it was over 6 years ago, I've been sober. And from then on, it's been just a journey of learning, like, what is this force that taught me this lesson that night? What is the force that is guiding my life and having some of these crazy situations happen that I can't even explain, like starting this YouTube channel. Like, you kidding? If you'd have told me 10 years ago that 10 years from then, I'd be talking about drugs and alcohol on YouTube, I probably would have thought you were on drugs and alcohol, to be honest. It's just a bizarre thing. I thought I was going to be a dentist or whatever. And so it's just so interesting how life moves a person through in ways that one can't even fathom or explain even. I can't even explain it. And so how do I strengthen the spirituality or this essence I feel within? Again, this can be different for every person. So I really want you to comment down below and think about, what is spirituality for you? Definitely share it with us. I'm really interested to hear. I hear people say God, I hear people say Jesus, and what's cool is it can all commingle. So that is something that I didn't know growing up, and that is a huge part of spirituality that was never taught to me, that everyone can have different beliefs and we can still like get along. How sick is that? Now, of course, like we might not be like best friends forever, but we can still like hang out and like have a good time and like learn from each other. I believe a lot of the things that come from religion, so Buddhism, Hinduism, Buddhism especially, Christianity, there are parts of each of that I aim to live my life by. However, as a whole, I don't subscribe to the whole thing. I like to take little nuggets from here and there. So that's spirituality to me as well. So how do I strengthen the spirituality? Well, I like to meditate. That's the first one. Once I settle those voices in my head and settle the emotions, I can start to kind of hear what the universe is asking me to do in that moment. Because there is only the present moment. And at the same time, sometimes I'll get some glimpses into like, hey, if you do this, this could lead to this. So meditation really helps me hear that, and also be more conscious in how I act and behave around other people, because that's a huge part of spirituality too, is my behavior. I never used to care about my behavior. I did whatever the fuck I wanted, whenever the fuck I wanted, and I was a fucking G, right? No, I was probably pretty annoying and people didn't want to hang around me. So now I get to make conscious, wise decisions that benefit the lives of others as well as myself. And it's really cool. So some other things I do, I eat healthy, exercise, those are all parts of spirituality for me. I really like Buddhism. So that is something, if I had to choose a religion, if you held a gun to my head and said, dude, choose a religion or die right now, which isn't very spiritual, I know, but if that situation happened, I would choose Buddhism 100%. What I love about Buddhism is that it teaches you how to find happiness right here and now. You don't gotta wait until you die, and then if you're good, you get like on the nice list, and then God sends you into this magical place. But if you fuck up a couple times, you're going down. Buddhism really teaches how to work with everything that happens. So the negative things, the things that aren't very spiritual or wholesome or hurt others, it's a compassionate way to view those situations, say, okay, how can I learn from this and then not do this again? And then on the positive end, it's like, how can I feel joy today? What are things I can do for myself, for others, just in the whole of humanity to just live better and just experience more joy. And it teaches that, and that's what I really like about Buddhism. Buddhism also involves meditation, which I just talked about. And what I think is cool about Buddhism is that he was once kind of a party animal. He lived in a palace, he had tons of women, crazy, right? Not the Buddha, yes, the Buddha. And on his adventure, which is kind of what we're all going through in a sense, he learned how to detach from all those influences. And if you know the story of the Buddha, and when he became enlightened, he was sitting under a tree. He got tested multiple times by all the demons, and he said no. And he just stayed in the center, nice and calm, and transcended. And essentially that is what Buddhism is teaching us how to do that in the real world. Obviously, I'm not banking on becoming enlightened in this lifetime, and I'm not going to even strive to do it, because that in a sense is going to create more suffering. However, it's like, I like that example, that if I can just, chill out when stuff's coming at me, you got the media, you got news, you got other people, when I can stay centered and just go through the world, it's so much more peaceful. And that's what I love that Buddhism teaches. So guys, that's gonna end the video for today. Like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what your spiritual ideas are. We'd really like to know. Have a great one. Talk to you soon. Peace.